Hello and welcome back to another edition of Cue Ball's Cutting Corner. I am Cue Ball, and for tonight, black. That's right. These are all my murdered out, all black or mostly all black knives that are in my collection. For a while now, I've, for whatever reason, I've just become partial to blacked out blade, blacked out handles with maybe just a little pop of color. I don't know. There's just something attractive to an all blacked out knife. Kind of like when you are on the road and you see an all blacked out truck. It just catches your eye, and so that's kind of how I am right now with knives. That does not mean that I don't have knives in my collection that aren't blacked out that I love. There are plenty of knives in my collection that I love just the way they are. But these are some of the knives that I want to keep in my collection for reasons of either being sentimental, or they're just knives that I really like to carry, from budget orientated to some more expensive offerings. So let's get right into it. Try to keep this short. I tried to actually film this the other night, and it was almost an hour long. So I'm going to go through this pretty quickly, and hopefully keep this under 20 minutes. That's the goal. There's 23 knives here on the table. We'll see how I do. All right, so the first knife here is the Ontario Rat 2. For those who don't know, the Ontario Rat is an excellent EDC knife. This knife comes in AUS 8 normally, but this particular version has D2. It runs on phosphor bronze bearings, and the action on this knife is phenomenal, given that this knife is only around $42, $43. It is plastic handles, but you know what? For just an everyday carry knife, for something that's going to open up boxes or just cut string or just do your basic EDC type tasks, it's a great blade. All right, next knife. This is the Miguron Acri. This is the version 2. There is another version that I used to have that had gold liners against the black. It was very striking. I ended up gifting that knife. This is the version 2. As you can see, they still kept a pop of color here on the non-show side. This is a Contour G10. The blade steel on this one is 14C28N. And an excellent front flipper knife for around $50. You can't go wrong. It does have a titanium mill clip as well. Awesome knife. Great action. Good size for a big hand. Next knife, we have the Petrified Fish Beluga. Yes, just like the whale. Awesome action on this knife. I mean, it really is snappy. It's a heavier knife. It's a little bit thicker knife as well. Again, it has contoured G10 handles. The blade steel on this one is K110, which is very similar to D2. Has this black stonewash finish. It's very pretty. The pocket clip is not too tight on the tension, but it does slide in and out of the pocket very well. This is a liner lock, but again, the action on this knife is great. Whether you're using the fuller or whether you're using the top flipper, it's a great knife. All right. Next one. This is an O-knife built by Kaiser for Olight for their O-knife division. The Drever. This is the first O-knife that came out. And I have to say it's one of my favorite O-knives just because the way that they shape this handle is super comfortable. G10, it is contoured G10. It does have a pop of color with the Olight blue, which is, it's okay. But the blacked out finish on the blade, and I can't flick it, has a very strong D10 actually. It's which is a good thing. This can be obviously reverse flicked, it can be thumb flicked, or it can be, you can use the back flipper on this one as well. Really utilitarian shaped blade on this. It's almost like a modified sheep's foot. N690, not the best steel, but these were being made when N690 was Kaiser's primary budget steel. Great knife. All right, the next one is called the Beagle. And the Beagle, this came out a few knives into O-Knife's offering. This one happens to be in 154cm. So Kaiser now is using 154cm in most of their budget knives. Excellent texturing on this G10. It's a peel ply G10, so it does have some really good texture on it. I like it a lot. This is a liner lock as well. Very good action on this. As you can see, the same pop of color with the Olight blue accents. This does have a blue pocket clip though. Really nice medium-sized knife with this harpoon blade. Really awesome carry. Carries very well. Again, it's very drop shut. Great knife. All right. Next one is also an O-knife, and this is called the Splint. The Splint is a multi-deployment knife, meaning it has the back flipper, it has the hole for the reverse Spidey flick, it has also the thumb flick. I got it. And then it also has the front flipper. It's a smaller knife. I would consider this kind of between a mid-sized knife and a small knife in my big hands. I can get about 3 fingers on this. I know some people that can actually get 4 fingers, but I do have unusually big hands. This knife does come in N690. So this was one of their earlier models as well. Very nice action on this knife. It's a good pocket knife, good slicer, not the best at utility cuts because of obviously this clip point blade. However, yeah, it's just a neat little knife to carry and to fidget with. Okay, we have an actual Kaiser now. This is a Kaiser Land. This happens to be one of my favorite Kaiser budget models, the Land. I have both models. I have the OD green version that also is frag patterned. This is the G10 version. This also has the blacked out blade. What's nice is this has a hollow ground compound flat here at the tip. So yeah, American Tonto. The other one, the green micarta, is a that is a Japanese style Tonto, and I actually sharpened that one not too long ago. Came out fairly well. I'm going to have to practice my skills, though, sharpening Tontos. It's not as easy as I would like it to be. The action on this knife is phenomenal. Fall shut. I love just how this feels on the deployment. The detent is so dialed in on this knife. Excellent carry. I actually carried this today. You can use the fuller. Yes, you can, to reverse flick, and you can actually thumb flick this as well. However, the primary means of deployment is the back flipper. Okay, next knife. We have, this is brand new as of today. This actually came with the silver blade and silver hardware, but I bought 2 of the Devo knives, Pony Stouts. And I swapped the blades because, unfortunately, they didn't have an all blacked out version that was for sale. So I went ahead and bought the blue micarta version with the silver blade and the black hardware black blade. And then I got the G10 model here that came with the silver blade and silver hardware. And I just swapped them earlier tonight. Got these dialed in. This one, it's not quite fall shut, but it is very, very smooth. Very easy to fidget. You can actually reverse flick this with the ring finger and against the blade itself. That coating does lend well to some traction there. Nice wire pocket clip, which is reversible. Really excellent smaller knife. But you can choke up into this and really get a good purchase, especially with that indentation here on the top of the blade. It does look weird, but it works. It just works really well. Excellent knife. All right. Next, we have the Spyderco Para3 lightweight. This is the FRN scales, so basically plastic. And then this one has the BD1N blade steel, which is used in a lot of kitchen cutlery. So Spyderco decided to go with BD1N on this particular model with the lightweight. I think just to keep costs down. As you can see, I actually do use this knife. There is a bunch of scratches already in the finish. I actually scratched it here too. I don't know what I did, but this knife has definitely seen some use. This runs on phosphor bronze washer. Yes, just one washer, but really good action and just a very lightweight knife to carry around. This is a really good summer carry because I wear a lot of shorts here in Arizona. In Phoenix, it's very hot. Obviously, we're here in the desert. So, nice knife, really ergonomic because of the way that they molded this. Good texturing in the FRN. It does feel a little bit cheap, but to be quite honest, it's a very capable knife. Next knife. All right, so Blade Banter. Blade Banter, who also has a channel. Shout out to Blade Banter. This is his knife company called Orion Knives, and this is the Solaris. This is his first button lock knife that he came out with. This has got very, very thick handles on it. It's very great. It feels so great in my hand. I love how this feels in my hand. I did deck this one out with the optional teardrop or raindrop carbon fiber, and I chose the blue pivot collar and the blue backspacer. I really love the action on this knife. The button lock works superb. It's very tight lockup. It works well with the thumb flick, but even better with the reverse flick just because of where that thumb set is placed. Excellent knife. Very snappy. Feels like a detent. You can actually push deploy this with the back flipper, or you can light switch it. Either way works very well. 14C28N on this particular one. Oh, and I forgot to say, 14C28N on the Pony Stout, and then it was N690 on the Kaiser LAN. So N690 on this guy. All right, next knife, another one from Orion Knives and Blade Banter. This is the Scorpio, and the Scorpio came out as just basically a smaller version of the Solaris. However, this one does have a different blade shape, as you can see. This one is a drop point. This one is more of a clip point, if you want to say that. But what's cool about this smaller version is there's some added features that were done to this knife. As you can see, there's these little ramps that were milled into the end of the micarta here. And what that allows you to do is really get a nice pinch grip on this knife. And then you also have this big choil that you can choke up into, but you can also pinch grip with your finger, your middle finger and your thumb, and choke up into a utilitarian cut hold here on the knife. You get a really good purchase with that jimping up here at the front of the blade, which is unique. You don't see that often. Again, 14C28N on this particular one, very snappy. Again, the button lock works just as smooth as the Solaris. Very easy to fidget and deploy. Nice pocket clip on these guys as well. All right. Next up, we have the Kaiser Roach, and this one happens to be in the black micarta. Yeah, it doesn't look very black, but if you were to oil this, it would definitely blacken up. I try to keep my micarta in good condition. This one comes in N690. I've used the heck out of this knife. As you can see, I've broken down many boxes with this slicer. It is a beast of a knife. Really amazing ergonomics. Let me get it locked up there. It's just got a really good feel to it. Very nice choil that you can take and choke up into. And again, you just feel locked into this knife. Nice flat grind. This is just a really, really awesome knife. One that I carry and use a lot around the house. Okay. Oh, and it is contoured slightly on the micarta. Next one we have is another Kaiser, and this one is the Mini Sheepdog. And this is actually in 10V, which is a great steel. It's going to maintain an excellent edge. There is some toughness behind that 10V as well. It is not the most stainless of steels, but with this black coating, obviously that's going to help. And being that I'm here in the desert, I don't really worry about rust too much. But this particular knife is a great fifth pocket carry for me. I love just the finger hole deployment. You can thumb flick it. You can reverse spidey flick it. Again, you have this nice contoured black micarta. This is such an excellent little carry. If you can find one of these, I highly recommend. All right, we're going back to a Devo Knives. So shout out to Kevin and Colin. Devo Knives. This is a knife that a lot of people... this is called the Growler, and a lot of people didn't like this knife because I guess the detents on some were too weak. But I'm going to be honest with you. Mine is actually really good. I tuned this and got it dialed in really well. So it's snappy. Actually, it's almost too strong of a detent to thumb flick for me. I prefer obviously doing the reverse flick on this knife, but you can actually use your ring finger off the blade itself because of that coating. You do have the deep carry pocket clip here. It's nice and inlaid into the scale with the flat screws. So again, Kevin and Colin know what they're doing. They're knife guys, and they definitely don't disappoint. Really excellent carry as well. Very nice on the micarta. All right, we're stepping up into some textured. It almost feels like this is contoured, but it's not. I believe they just chamfered the edges to make it feel that way. But it is definitely milled carbon fiber, and this is a Civivi. This is the Badlands Vagabond, and what's great about this, and yes, this is the black rubbed Damascus. 9CR Damascus, I believe, is what this is. What the main steel is in this, and it's a nice hollow grind. And this has got a really good feel to it. Even the pocket clip, I can feel it, and it is a deep carry. But my gosh, this knife is really comfortable. It's very lightweight. Just an excellent carry. Amazing action on those caged ceramic ball bearings, and really awesome flipper as well. You can still pick these up, I believe. I think they still sell the budget version. You might even be able to find this particular model online too. I don't know. I'll have to look it up. I'm going to try to find as many links for these as I can and put them in the description for you. It may take me a couple days. I got a lot going on right now in my work life and my personal life, but I will get to it. So, because I'm sure some of you are probably wondering where you can pick these up. This is another Devo knife. This is the Devo Stout. This is the OG. This is the original. This is a knife that set Devo knives on the map in the knife world. One of the smoothest and fall shut action knives that I own. This thing is absolutely drop fall shut. You have to get your finger out of the way once you break that detent. Yeah, game over if you got your finger in the way. Excellent carbon fiber with this copper. It's really pretty. You have to see this knife in person. I don't know if holding it up closer to the camera will do it any justice, but it's really, really, really pretty. I actually did a swap on this. Originally came with a silver one that I have, and I took the copper carbon fiber off that and put it onto the black one that came with the black micarta. I really like the look of this with that copper carbon fiber. Excellent knife. This is 20 CV on the steel. Really, really comfortable in hand. It's a weird looking knife, but when you actually get this in hand, you realize how functional it is, and the action is so smooth. All right, next up. Yes, the Jason Grant Brask Brigade Grant Gripper. This is a knife that was very, very hyped up last year, and for good reason, because it really is a solid first offering from Jason Grant. This is based on his custom knife that he had made, that he designed and had a custom maker make. And I had a chance to feel the custom knife. I had it in hand when my good friend Satu Dave brought it with him to one of our knife meetups. But this one's made by Best Tech, and gosh, it's flawless. I mean, if you take this knife apart and look at all the milling and the they milled out a lot on the inside too for weight relief. It's gorgeous. It absolutely is a gorgeous knife. The coating on this knife is perfect. I love the pop of color. I did actually send away for this purple. Comes with a brass pivot collar, but I wanted something a little bit more, just a little bit more eye-catching. Obviously, you have the hole for both types of deployment, reverse and thumb. You have the very minimal flipper here that works incredibly well with this detent. It's not the best front flipper just because of the style of jimping that's on here. It's more of an aesthetic jimping to kind of match the backspacer here. I get it, but it's not as conducive for the front flipper as some other knives that I have in my collection. I really like the back flipper jimping though. This is excellent. If that would have been up here towards the top of this front flipper, it would have made this a little bit easier to deploy. Actually, probably quite a bit more easier to deploy, but still a great knife. That hollow ground blade. This is an M390. Again, very nice knife. Okay, you guys all know that this one is. If not, well, let me introduce you to EMP EDC. EMP stands for Every Man's Pocket. And yes, EMP EDC is out of Tacoma, Washington, which I used to live up in nearby Tacoma, Washington. I used to take and play pool around them parts. This is the Nimble X version 2 in all its glory. Oh, this knife is just butter. I love this knife. Such a great knife to carry. I did splurge and end up getting the Damascus hardware upgrade with the pivot collar, the pocket clip, and also the backspacer. There also were titanium, anodized titanium screws that came in the package, but I wanted to keep this knife as blacked out as possible with just the subtlest pop of color, and this did not disappoint. I love the way that this is set up, and I really enjoy carrying this knife. One, the action on this knife is just getting better and better and better every day that I carry it and I deploy it. As you can see, I don't use it that often because this is a knife that I would like to keep nice in my collection. But you can see the nice milling here. The OEM work is done by QSP. Really awesome knife. Okay, I think I'm probably close to 20 minutes or over, but that's okay. We only got a few light knives left. These next two knives are actually recent acquisitions by We Knives, and I haven't really been into We Knives or Civivis for the last year and a half. A lot of their designs that have come out lately have, or I should say within the last year and a half, just really didn't catch my eye. But these two came on the scene, and let me tell you, it was love at first sight. I had to own these, and these are limited editions. So this first one's called the Exciton, and I actually bought this one second. The next one I'll get to is called the Weezypheus, but this one comes with an integral backspacer that is actually cross-cut carbon fiber on the top. As you can see, it's one piece of solid carbon fiber that makes up the backspacer, and then the blade steel on these particular ones. I believe, let's see if I can get this right. I think it's 20 CV on these as well. And what's cool is this is a compound grind with the hollow ground with the flat here towards the edge. And it's, gosh, because of the carbon fiber, it makes this knife 3.3 ounces. And this is a 4-inch long blade, 3 3/4 inch cutting edge on it. I can't ask for anything more. I love this knife. It is so pretty. Yeah, CPM 20V is what the seal is. And I think these were limited to only 205 or 210, but excellent ergos, just such a great button lock too. I would say probably a better button lock than anything else that's out there and anything that I have in my collection other than maybe the Weezypheus. So awesome knife. All right, next one is the Weezypheus. Now this one, I went ahead and splurged and got the titanium backspacer, which is also an integral backspacer. So one piece of titanium that has been carved out or milled out. And then this has been storm anodized or lightning anodized. I know there's a couple different terms for it. Same thing with the pocket clip as well. This is super easy in and out of the pocket because it's just so smooth. This one, also amazing action on this knife. And as you can see, this is more of a sheep's foot style blade, actually more like a Wharncliffe. Yeah, I guess it's kind of a Wharncliffe sheep's foot, but it does come down to a very prominent point, as Sasa would say, pokey. Sorry, Sasa. And then very nice flat grind on this with the two-tone blade. You got this nice blacked out. It's going to give it some protection. Also, just gives it a really nice look. Yeah, this is a really pretty knife. The button action on this one is so good. There is no lock stick on this knife whatsoever. It broke in so well. It feels like this knife has a detent, like a traditional detent. It's amazing. Yeah, excellent knife. Okay. The last two knives that are on the table here are actually gifts from my brother. Back in the day, he was a pocket knife connoisseur as well and had a very substantial collection. Unfortunately, tough times hit him and his family, and he was forced to sell off the majority of his collection. However, he did keep these two little beauties. These are both from, if you look here, Microtech. That's right. And we have a Kestrel Mini. And the Kestrel comes in a larger size as well. What's cool about these knives, yes, they do have the silver hardware. However, it's a murdered out knife. Come on now. You have these rubber inlays on the show side. And then the lock itself is this pivot style liner lock. So it's actually got a pivot screw, long pivot screw that goes all the way through this lock here. And it's really smooth. It actually feels very good to take and, just depress the lock and close the blade. Now these are on phosphor bronze bearings, or excuse me, phosphor bronze washers, not bearings. So it doesn't have drop shut action, but it's super smooth. And these go for a pretty penny now on the secondary market. Now this other one is called the Vector M, and both of these knives came out around 1999, 2000. I think this one is 1999, and the Kestrel was in 2000. So I don't know if these were limited edition or how many of these they made. There is some use on each of these knives, but I don't care. Thank you, Matt, my brother, for gifting these to me. They're really, really neat. Awesome part of history to have in collection. Now, I have one last knife that I'm going to finish up with, and it is by far my favorite murdered out, blacked out knife in my collection, at least to this date. And that is the Sharp by Designs Mini Tempest. And this one is in the black washed titanium contoured with the carbon fiber inlays. So pretty. You cannot feel the seam. It is just done so well. These are made by Riot. And if you know Riot quality, they are the #1 knife maker in China for production knives in terms of quality. There's really none other like them. So this is one of the most intuitive, and I'm stealing the word from G-Ball, intuitive front flippers. I mean, if you don't know how to use a front flipper, you will after holding this knife in your hand, because it is super easy to deploy, especially with Brian Nadeau's the little nub. He has that detent nub instead of the detent ball, and it just is so smooth. You can actually, on this knife, use the fuller to flick it out, which is amazing, because if you look how close that fuller is, it doesn't leave you much room in there to get behind it, but you sure can do it. I think you can actually front flip or thumb flick this too. Let's see if I can do it. Yep, you can. I chose the buoy or Bowie edition because I liked it's just unique. There's so many drop point knives out there. And this is a very special knife. I've always wanted to own even a production version of a Sharp by Design. Someday I will get my hands on a custom. But ending it tonight with the Sharp by Design Mini Tempest. I love this knife. I really do. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me on my collection of black knives, murdered out. These definitely won't be my last ones that I purchase. I'm sure I will get my hands on some more, maybe even at Blade Show. We shall see. If you happen to be at Blade Show in a couple weeks in Atlanta, and if you recognize me from being on some live streams, or if you run into me, I'm a pretty big guy. Usually I'll carry a towel around with me because when I do a lot of walking, I'm a bigger guy, so I tend to keep the towel handy. So feel free to take and walk up and say hi. My name is Chris, and but I do go by Cue Ball. Would love to meet you and chat with you about knives or any other topics that you would like to share. All right, with that, have a wonderful evening, and God bless.